So, India's got this huge new data privacy law, the DPDPA. Everyone's talking about it. But the one question that's on every business owner's mind is, when do we actually have to worry about this thing? Well, let's get you that answer and clear up all the confusion.
Right, so the law itself, the Digital Personal Data Protection Act, was passed back in 2023. But here's the thing, that wasn't like flipping a switch. The government's decided to roll it out in phases, which, has caused a bit of confusion. So today, we're going to cut through all that noise and give you the real, actual timeline.
Okay, before we dive into the dates, let's just take a step back. Why is this such a big deal? This DPDPA, it's not just more paperwork. It's a massive shift in how India's entire digital world is going to work. It's totally redefining the relationship between businesses and your personal data. So what's the goal here? At its heart, the DPDPA is trying to solve a really tricky puzzle. How do you protect the privacy of, over 1 billion people, but at the same time not stifle innovation? You want businesses to grow, right? It's all about finding that sweet spot, that perfect balance between protecting individuals and letting the economy thrive. All right, let's get down to the brass tacks, the implementation roadmap. Like I said, the government isn't just dropping this on everyone at once. It's a very deliberate, step-by-step rollout. Let's break down exactly what those steps and dates look like. The very first thing they did wasn't to start handing out fines, it was actually about collaboration. India's Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, you probably know them as MeitY, they put out draft rules and basically said, hey everyone, take a look and tell us what you think. This was super important because it let businesses and experts weigh in and help shape how this whole thing will actually work in the real world. Okay, so once the rules start to solidify, the next big piece of the puzzle falls into place, the regulator. We're talking about the Data Protection Board of India. You can think of them as the new sheriffs in town when it comes to data privacy. They're the ones who will be making sure everyone's playing by the rules, investigating issues, and handing out penalties. Getting this board up and running is a huge priority.
So here it is, the timeline you've been waiting for. It all kicked off in January 2025, when those draft rules were published. Then there was that public feedback period, but the real action? That starts a bit later. And notice how it's staggered. The big guys, the large companies, they start feeling the heat in late 2025. But full enforcement for all the major stuff, we're looking at 2026.
So now we know when this is all happening. But what about who needs to act? This whole phased rollout thing means the impact is going to be pretty different depending on the size and type of your business. Let's break down what this really means for the key players. And you can really see the different pressures right here. For the big tech giants and huge corporations, the clock is ticking loudly. They are under the microscope immediately. But for startups and smaller businesses, you get a little more breathing room, which is great. But the message is still crystal clear. Start getting ready now. And for all of us, the public, get ready for a whole new level of awareness about our data rights. Let's really zoom in on this for a second because it's so important. The major tech firms, they're basically the first wave. They've got to get their core obligations sorted by late 2025. Small businesses, on the other hand, you get a much longer runway. That is a huge advantage. But, and this is a big but, it's not a free pass to do nothing. That prep work, like figuring out what data you have and fixing how you get consent, that needs to start, yesterday.
Okay, that's a lot of theory, but what do you actually need to do, right now? To make it easy, we've put together a super practical 4-step checklist of things you should be starting on immediately.
Let's quickly run through these. Number 1, map your data. Seriously, you can't protect data if you don't even know you have it. Where is it? What is it? Second, get your internal policies straight and train your people. Your entire team has to be on the same page. Third, consent management. Your systems for getting and tracking consent have got to be solid and compliant. And finally, number 4, stay plugged in. Things are going to evolve, so you have to keep an eye on official updates. All right, so looking ahead,
What's the next couple of years going to look like? Let's do a little forecasting and see how this law is really going to start making waves.
Think of 2025 as the year of preparation. This is when all the background machinery gets built. The Data Protection Board will be fully staffed in figuring out its processes. We'll probably see some pilot programs too, where regulators kind of test the waters in certain industries. It's really the calm before the enforcement storm.
And then, bam, 2026 hits. This is the year of enforcement. Mandatory compliance kicks in for the big organizations, and you can bet we're going to start seeing the first big, headline-grabbing enforcement actions. This is when the DPDPA really shows its teeth. And from there, the requirements are going to cascade down to smaller and smaller companies. 2026 is when it all gets very, very real.
So there you have it. The timeline isn't a mystery anymore. The wave of data privacy change in India, it's all mapped out, and believe me, it is coming fast. So the only real question left is for you. Are you going to be ready to ride that wave and lead the change, or are you going to get caught in the undertow? Because the time to start preparing is right now.